Welcome to World Pulse Updates. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. In a nation often divided by noise and partisanship, sometimes silence delivers the loudest message. The Supreme Court, often split along ideological lines, did something extraordinary. It spoke unanimously. In a landmark 9-0 decision, the justices declared that the government cannot use its power to indirectly silence voices it dislikes. This ruling in National Rifle Association of America versus Vulo is a major defense of free speech in our digital age. It tackles the subtle threat of government officials pressuring private companies to cut off controversial groups, sidestepping direct censorship. This story isn't just about one case, it's about the enduring power of the Constitution to protect all Americans, no matter how unpopular their views. To appreciate a unanimous Supreme Court decision, you need to understand the court itself. 9 justices, appointed for life, are meant to be above politics, yet their decisions often reflect deep national divides. Unanimous rulings are rare and powerful, signaling agreement on principles that transcend ideology. The NRA versus Vulo case was one such moment, as all 9 justices agreed. The First Amendment's protection from government censorship is a cornerstone of American law. When the court unites, it sends a message that some rights are simply not up for debate. Every Supreme Court case starts with a real conflict, one that often reflects the tensions and values at the heart of American society. These cases are more than just legal disputes, they're stories about power, rights, and the boundaries of government authority. In 2018, following the tragic Parkland school shooting, the debate over gun rights and gun control reached a fever pitch. New York's top financial regulator, Maria Vulo, stepped into the spotlight. She allegedly pressured banks and insurance companies to reconsider their relationships with the National Rifle Association, or NRA, one of the most influential and controversial advocacy groups in the country. The NRA claimed this was more than just a suggestion. They argued it was government coercion, regulators using their immense power to punish a group for its political views, not through laws or regulations, but through private warnings and backroom pressure. To the NRA, this was a direct attack on their First Amendment rights, and a dangerous precedent for all advocacy groups. The impact was immediate. Several major companies, fearing regulatory backlash or public controversy, quickly severed ties with the NRA. Insurance providers and banks ended long-standing partnerships, costing the NRA millions of dollars and threatening its ability to operate. The message was clear: even the hint of government disapproval could have real, financial consequences for any group. The legal question at the heart of NRA versus Vulo is both simple and profound. Can a government official use their influence to quietly silence a group, or is that unconstitutional censorship? Where is the line between a government official expressing a viewpoint and using their authority to chill speech they dislike? Lower courts couldn't agree. One court allowed the NRA's lawsuit to proceed, recognizing the potential for government overreach. Another dismissed the case, viewing Vulo's actions as legitimate government speech, an official simply encouraging responsible business practices. The split highlighted just how unsettled the law was in this area. The Supreme Court agreed to hear the case, recognizing its significance. The justices would have to decide, where's the line between persuasion and coercion? When does government advocacy cross over into unconstitutional suppression of speech? The answer would set a precedent for every advocacy group in America, whether they're fighting for gun rights, environmental causes, civil liberties, or any other issue. The ruling would shape how government officials interact with private organizations and how far they can go in trying to influence the public square. The stakes couldn't be higher. Should government be allowed to quietly starve disfavored voices by pressuring their partners, or must it confront those voices openly in the marketplace of ideas? The outcome of NRA versus Vulo would echo far beyond the courtroom, shaping the future of free speech and advocacy in America. On June 29, 2024, the Supreme Court delivered a clear answer. The government cannot use regulatory threats to suppress speech. Justice Sotomayor, writing for all 9 justices, said officials cannot coerce private parties to punish views they dislike. The court revived the NRA's lawsuit, ruling that the allegations, if true, would violate the First Amendment. The justices drew a line. Persuasion is allowed, coercion is not. The decision didn't decide Vulo's guilt, but set a framework for future cases. Look at the totality of government actions to spot hidden threats to speech. The message: the First Amendment protects against both direct censorship and indirect back-channel intimidation. The Vullo decision quickly became a touchstone in new controversies, shaping the way Americans thought about the boundaries of government power and free speech. It wasn't just a legal ruling, it became a cultural reference point, cited in debates from newsrooms to late-night comedy shows. The case's influence rippled outward, affecting not only legal scholars but also everyday citizens concerned about their rights. In 2025, after Jimmy Kimmel criticized the Trump administration on national television, the FCC's chairman issued a public warning. Broadcasters who aired content critical of the government could see their licenses threatened. This move was widely interpreted as a direct attempt to chill dissent and send a message to other media figures. The warning sparked outrage among journalists, comedians, and free speech advocates who saw it as a dangerous precedent. Major station owners, fearing regulatory backlash and the potential loss of their broadcasting licenses, made the controversial decision to drop Kimmel's show from their lineups. The move sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, raising questions about the future of political satire and the independence of the press. Legal experts quickly pointed to the Vullo decision, arguing that government pressure, even without explicit orders, can violate the First Amendment. They explained that the Supreme Court had made it clear, when officials use their authority to intimidate or coerce, it's not just bad policy, it's unconstitutional. The Vullo precedent became a rallying cry for those defending free expression. The ruling also echoed in broader debates over executive power, as the court signaled it would rein in officials who try to sidestep constitutional limits. Lawmakers and advocacy groups began to scrutinize other instances where government officials might be overreaching, using Vullo as a benchmark for what is and isn't acceptable. Vullo's impact extended beyond the media, influencing debates about government power in trade and international relations. The message was clear: government can't use its power to silence critics, whether in media, business, or global affairs. The decision became a symbol of America's commitment to free speech, watched closely by allies and adversaries alike. The precedent is now unmistakable. Coercion by threat, not just by law, is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court's stance has set a new standard for how government must interact with the press, businesses, and individuals, ensuring that freedom of expression remains protected even in the face of subtle or indirect pressure. The court's message is unmistakable. The Constitution draws a bright line, and government must respect it. In a time of political tension and rapid change, the Vullo decision stands as a powerful reminder that the rights enshrined in the First Amendment are not negotiable, and that the courts remain a crucial safeguard for American democracy. The Vullo ruling isn't just legal theory, it's a decision that reaches into the fabric of our daily lives, affecting how we interact with institutions, technology, and even each other. When the Supreme Court speaks, its words ripple outward, shaping the rules that govern our society and the freedoms we often take for granted. Regulators have a hand in overseeing everything from the banks that hold our savings, to the social media platforms where we share our thoughts, to the insurance companies that protect our homes and health. Their influence is vast, touching nearly every aspect of modern life. This decision acts as a crucial check on that power. It makes clear that government officials cannot use their authority to threaten or coerce private companies into silencing groups or individuals they disagree with. It draws a bright line, forbidding the use of regulatory threats as a tool to suppress unpopular or controversial voices. By protecting access to essential services like banking, web hosting, and insurance, the ruling ensures that the government can't quietly cut off the lifelines of organizations or people simply because their views are controversial or unpopular. This means that your ability to participate in society, run a business, or share your message online is safer from behind-the-scenes government interference. For individuals, this ruling is a shield. It means you can express your beliefs, advocate for causes, or join in public debate without the looming fear that the government might retaliate against you by pressuring companies to deny you services or silence your voice. The decision also sets important boundaries for how much influence government officials can exert over tech companies and the digital spaces where so much of our speech now happens. It clarifies that the government cannot sidestep the First Amendment by leaning on private platforms to do what it cannot do directly. If officials pressure platforms to ban users or remove content, they risk crossing a constitutional line and violating the First Amendment's core protections. This ruling sends a strong message. Free speech rights don't end at the doors of private companies, especially when government pressure is involved. Vullo ensures the government can't pick winners and losers in public debate. It protects the marketplace of ideas, where all voices, popular or not, have a chance to be heard and considered. Thanks to this unanimous Supreme Court ruling, free expression, both online and off, is more secure for everyone. It's a powerful reminder that our rights are not just words on paper, but living principles that shape the world we share. The Vullo decision was widely praised by free speech advocates, but it sparked debate among legal experts. Supporters say it protects all advocacy groups from government jawboning, no matter their cause. Critics worry it could chill legitimate government warnings. Regulators might hesitate to speak out about real risks, fearing lawsuits. The challenge: distinguishing between genuine guidance and veiled threats. Some fear a flood of litigation, while others see the ruling as a vital check on government power. The debate continues, but the principle stands: government can't use its authority to silence dissent. Vullo wasn't a one-off. The Supreme Court has shown a surprising trend of unanimity on core constitutional issues. In 2025, the court issued several 9-0 decisions on religious freedom, civil rights, and executive power. These rulings, often written by justices across the ideological spectrum, reinforced foundational principles like equal treatment and the separation of powers. The pattern when it comes to bedrock rights: the justices can unite. Vullo's anti-coercion rule is now part of a broader movement to clarify and defend constitutional boundaries. These decisions send a message: some rights are above politics. The court's collective voice makes these protections stronger and more enduring. The Supreme Court's unanimous decision in Vullo is more than a legal milestone. It's a defense of your rights. It proves that freedom of speech must be guarded not just from direct bans, but from subtle government pressure. The ruling shows that even in polarized times, core values can unite the court and the country. Knowing your rights is essential to holding power accountable. As new controversies arise, Vullo's principles will be tested again and again. Ultimately, the Constitution's strength depends on all of us defending the freedoms it guarantees.